run the energy up our channels. So up through our sacred sexual energy, our second chakra. It's not just for sex, it's for creation. It's for manifestation. But if you can be in self-pleasuring or with your partner and bring it up into this creative center, into your power center, your solar plexus, through your open heart, using your voice, let it awaken not just the prefrontal cortex with your creative thoughts and nonlinear realities, all this kind of stuff, but all the way into the center of your head, into your pineal, which is like a light, and it's just going to turn on and connect with all of non-local intelligence. Hello, delicious friends. Allana Pratt here, and welcome to your superior self.
Oh, I love that. Lena, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm so jealous of you getting out of that cold plunge this morning. I know you're feeling all the dopamine, all the feels this morning. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, thanks for having me. I do enjoy my workout and my cold plunge, and it starts my day alive. And if I can do that, I can do anything.
Feeling alive. Was there ever a moment in your life where you didn't feel alive?
Yesterday, every day. Uh, the human experience is a crazy one. When I'm in my body, not disassociating, I feel very, very alive. I also feel all the feels. So feeling alive doesn't mean feeling happy all the time. Feeling alive can I swear?
Yeah.
Okay. Can feel like feeling like shit, hopeless. What's the point? But I'm still alive in my body feeling. I'm not disassociating. Also, feeling alive can be like orgasmic and rapturous and erotic and like I want to make love with life. Like I want to sink my teeth into it. So I've got all these different experiences of feeling alive. But before I learned how to feel, that was too much joy and too much pain, too much everything. I wasn't in control. What would people think? I couldn't control the outcome, all of these fears. So I would just disassociate. Of course, that was based on, childhood trauma and the rest of it, trauma from past lives, all the things. But once I've learned how to integrate and get from disassociation back into the body, integrate what I didn't think I could ever feel all the way through to zero: pain, shame, self-hatred, self-loathing, rage, terror, things that I think I'll just go on social media and put on a happy fake face and get married to someone else. Like all the things I would do to avoid. Once I had knocked that shit off and took ownership and started to really learn how and now teach how to integrate traumas, triggers, emotional um, intensities. Yeah, being in my body is a delicious place to be.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, disassociation from the body or even reality sometimes. Like we can go in and go into our imagination, go into our meditations and stay a little bit too long, right? And we're neglecting this reality. We're kind of putting it off, even like sleep, right? Like there have been moments in my life that have been very difficult where I could only escape it through sleep and I'd wake up and be like, oh, I have to do this over again. How do
Yeah.
you like I guess my question is, how do you go to those spaces of meditation or uh, higher levels of consciousness in those feel good moments, the void, whatever you want to term that? And how do you
Yeah.
bring that knowledge back and how do you integrate that into the body?
I fucking love this question. This is so good. Um, First I want to define like so where when I say go into like tier three, when I say go and be one with the cosmos, that's not fantasy. That's not like disassociating, numbing out, fakey fake, bypassing. That's not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about truly leaving the body into oneness with all, first time happened on an illumination intensive. Second time happened on an ayahuasca journey. Third time happened dancing. So various ways that I've had oneness with all. I call it like a direct experience tray where I'm aware, but I don't know where my edges end and everything else begins. I think it's happened once in sex as well. I wish it happened a lot more, but there's been these moments where it's like I'm in my body, but I'm out of my body and I'm one with everything. And I know I'm enough. I know all these insights. I know I can see things from the gift in them, not, how could you, universe, not a victim, but like, oh my God, this is totally for my evolution and growth, like all the insights. But here's the beautiful question you asked: how do you bring that back into your body? So we'll call that tier 3. Tier 1 is the body. I had no idea that I was not in my body. Maybe my heart, but not my hips. And I wasn't able to bring all that wisdom back into real life. And how do I know this? Well, on one level, I could help all these singles find the one. I could help all these couples revive their marriages. I could help all these women become orgasmic. I could help these men, even with ED issues, or just penetrate life with their purpose. Like I could do all these things. But shit, if I could create that, here I was attracting investors that would run away and take my money, men that I dated that got arrested and pleaded guilty for criminal assault, 12-year custody battle. Like, here is my life over here, crazy shit going down. And yet I'm an Ivy League grad creating all these results, 6 books, all the things for my clients. Like, this is what is happening. And what I discovered when I started to do psychedelic somatic integration work, MDMA, cannabis, psilocybin, in tier 1, which means stay in the body, stay in the feelings, stay in the sensations, not leave when it gets tough and go out and be one with everything, which is awesome. But I couldn't integrate it. I kept making these same mistakes. I kept attracting abusers I had to survive over and over. And when I started doing PSI, psychedelic somatic integration work with my facilitator, what I discovered when I went from disassociated back into my body through level 3, 2, 1, all the way, what I discovered, my body, what happens in PSI is you allow the body to lead the way. Trust body, surrender to body. If body wants to do this, you do this. If body's experiencing something, you allow it. It's much more about the sensation and the emotions than it is about story or figuring anything out. You just put the mind aside. And what I discovered on my very first journey was that as a kid, I was molested repeatedly. Everything came back, Trey. Memories I'd never had, body sensations of penetration, hearing, you like this, you made me do it. All of it, smells, it was horrific. But when I got through all of that back to zero, finally I could forgive myself. Oh, that's why you've been attracting all these abusers to survive. Because while the top of the iceberg, my brain, my thoughts, my beliefs, my conscious mind was like, I want a healthy guy and a healthy investor and a healthy business and all that stuff. The girth of me, my body, the girth of me, the under the water, the iceberg, what was really running the show, the frequency that was attracting life for me was nonstop, hypervigilantly looping in level 4 trauma. Where's the next abuser to survive? And when I was able to integrate that, then what you just asked, long answer, sorry, but long answer, all the wisdom out there, you can actually bring it into the body, into tier 1 when tier 1 has been healed. If tier 1 has not been healed and you're still in trauma in your body, you can have wonderful insights, but your frequency won't change, your resonance won't change, your ability to attract, your ability to have, your ability to receive, your ability to discern and know. You're not going to have any of those abilities in everyday life. You're only going to have them when you go on a psilocybin journey or you go away on a vacation, but you won't be able to change your life until we've got alignment tier 1, 2, and 3.
When did you see effects of that? Was it immediate?
Oh, well, immediate forgiveness. Oh, because underneath all of that, Trey, if I really told the truth at 3 a.m. in the morning, I would always say, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep like self-loathing? So the very first shift was self-forgiveness. And that vibration in and of itself stopped pushing away love, money, but it also stopped attracting abusers and users. So very, very quickly, I would say within 3 months, all the clients that were using me, all the coaches that were using me, all the colleagues that were using me couldn't be in my vibration anymore. I could see them. I could call them on it. I couldn't see it before, Trey. In fact, I was attracted to them. So all of that shifted. Businesses that were built on lies with people taking advantage of me fell. And I almost went into bankruptcy. It was not really fun for the first year when I realized how many relationships, systems, choices had been built on the trauma wound. And so it was an uncomfortable year. But then so yes, it took effect quite quickly, but it wasn't pretty. But then now that it's been about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years since I began that whole journey, now I'm in a place where clients just show up. Like VIP clients show up, kind men show up, beautiful friendships deepen. And I don't push to renew the clients that don't want to renew because they're not actually ready to ascend at this next level. And I used to fight for them and push and try. Oh, nope. And then instantly a higher vibrational client will come right in. So the money's been built back fast. I'm already debt free in less than a year. Things got cleaned up just as fast as they fell apart.
Wow. I want to know more about you, right? Just hearing that story
Mm,
is beautiful, and thank you for sharing that and feeling safe enough to use this platform as that space to be able to connect with someone who is listening who may resonate with that story.
thank you.
How did you, I mean, did you always have this cosmic view of the universe, of being able to connect with that? Did you grow up with any type of dogma? Did you grow up with any type of belief systems that disallowed you from connecting with that? Like, what did that look like for you early on?
Yeah. Drunk, stoned dad, checked out mom. Um, I was too much, too sensitive. So no, did I grow up with any encouragement to be me? Not at all. Uncle Phil drove an 18-wheeler semi from Canada down to LA once a month. And I'm like, okay, there's my ticket. So I quit college. And I went to LA and I'd been a dancer since I was 5. So I'm like, okay, I've seen girls dance on cruise lines. I'm going to get a job and then I'm just going to figure my life the fuck out. And I was good enough, talented enough, brave enough, but I didn't have a working visa. So I failed. I had $40 left. But I got a job dancing in Japan. This is way back when I was 20. I'm 54 now. So I hopped on a plane all the way to Japan. I was a dancer and a model, and I backpacked all over Asia. And this is where the first, I would say, spiritual connection experiences happened. I was very aware modeling and dancing in Japan that I was comparing myself to other women. I was very competitive and insecure. And with men, I knew enough to, I was terrified of them. I wanted their attention, but I didn't trust them. And I was terrified of them. That this was the only awareness I had at the time. And my first direct experience was in Thailand, Koh Phangan, full moon party. Don't know if you've ever been, but apparently they still happen. Actually, I live in Charleston now. I was downtown Charleston with my girlfriend last week. And these young boys, the same, I have a son, he's 21. They're about the same age as my son. And I could hear them talking about a full moon party. And I'm like, oh, I'm old enough to be your mother, but I did that too. Um, so anyways, back to Thailand. I made a commitment to myself to walk up and down the beach, triggering myself into my insecurity. So all I was wearing was a floss G-string. It wasn't like the busy beach, it was a quieter beach. But I was going to walk up and down until I no longer needed approval about for my body. I no longer compared myself to other. I no longer was insecure. And it took days, Trey. I cried back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And finally, one time walking all the way down, I said, oh, fuck it. I give up. And as soon as I turned around and surrendered, I stopped the trying, the seeking, the attachment, and I just let go. The floor fell away, the sand fell away, and I was one with the sand, the beach, the water droplets from the ocean. And every single person I looked at was a bodhisattva.
Hmm.
And I was one with everyone, and I was one with my body, and was one with my sacred sexuality. I was one with everything. And that didn't obviously last forever, but it was one of my first tastes of oneness with all. Another one I mentioned earlier was a illumination intensive. That's when you get together for 5 days with a group of people and you sit across from them for 40-minute increments. You say, tell me who you are. And you take in the question and you give the answer and they say, thank you. And you go back and forth for 5 days. Now, the first answers for the first day or two are a lot of thought and conjuring of our mind content, right? But after a few days, there's nothing left except for truth to begin to arise. And you can have these direct experiences with your true nature. And I went to many of those and had many direct experiences where I was one with all. I knew all. I was all. It was extraordinary. No medicine, nothing, just communication, presence, exploration, and surrender. Another direct experience would be when I did my first ayahuasca journey, and the medicine Pachamama, she brought me to me in the form of demons. This is how much you hate yourself. This is how ashamed you are of yourself. This is what a loser you think you are. This is like all of the demons. Oh my God, Trey, they were me. And the first journey I did, I fought them, tried to change them. It got worse, obviously, threw up all night. And then I said to the shaman, I don't want to do journey 2. He's like, stubborn one. You need more medicine. I'm like, oh, I don't want more medicine. But I did. And this time he said, just say, when the demons come, just say, thank you. I choose love. So they came again on the second night. All these demons, me. And when they came, I just said, okay, thank you, Panchamama. I choose love. And by the end, the very last demon that came wasn't in the form of a demon, it was in the form of me. But my hands were over my head like this. I was still so ashamed of who I was. And for the first time, I saw myself with compassion. And I said, oh, isn't she beautiful? She's doing her best. So these have been some of the different journeys of oneness that I've taken that stay with me. No one and nothing can ever take that knowing and that connection away. And I draw upon it on the times when I don't know the answer and I'm attached and I'm scared. I can return to center faster.
Mm. I love all of that. When you took ayahuasca, did you feel like you were there, like you are having this conversation with me? I never had a psychedelic experience, so I don't really know. So when you saw
Mm.
those demons, they were actual, like you saw them as actual demons.
Yeah, like they were standing right there, like I'm talking to you. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And then how'd you, so the shaman said that is those are you.
Aspects of you, projections of you. The medicine is being used. Who we are is holographically projected out into the world. So if we really get right down to it, you're an aspect of me. I'm an aspect of you. Everyone is us. We're looking at us. If we really went all the way to the core, we're all light, right? So we're all projecting who we are into the world. And so a lot of my coaches over the years, when I'm like, he's a fucking asshole. Thank you. Where are you, a fucking asshole? No, I'm perfect. I do the work. And they're like, no, if you're triggered by someone, there's still an unintegrated aspect of you represented in them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be triggered. Own
Mhm.
it. Let's have a look. No self-judgment, just full ownership. Um, so I think that's important for us to understand
Sure.
how we're all wired.
Yeah.
We're all one.
That's I've heard similar stories to that where they've seen demons or dragons or something of that would scare someone right,
Mm,
naturally.
mm.
However, then they had this realization that that was a projection of themselves, an aspect of themselves that they're denying that want to come up
Yes.
and have a conversation with you, right? Even though they look like the monster that they're represented in that experience, uh, surrendering to love and accepting it for what it is heals those aspects of ourself. And it could be a child, the child self that is reflecting
Yeah.
of that, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
you're from your experiences and your filters, you're just seeing it as a demon or a dragon for whatever reason, but it is in your unconscious wanting to be seen. So when we embody these aspects of ourselves, what are some
Mm,
of the immediate impacts on this reality that your clients have talked about, right? Is that
mm,
are those the anchors that are disallowing them to manifest? Is it disallowing them to go deeper in their relationships? Is it disallowing them to be the best version of themselves? Like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what happens when we uh, embrace those demons that
mm,
and accept those aspects of ourselves that we're ashamed of and
mm.
integrate that into the body and into this reality? What are some of the effects of that?
Yeah. So in the last year and a half or so, I've coached for 25 years, private calls, group calls, retreats, etc. I've added in these PSI, psychedelic somatic integration immersions with my clients as well. And so what I'm noticing with them is sometimes the demon is not them. Sometimes it's an outside entity within them because they aren't in their body. They disassociated, they're trying to survive, they're a kid, and their empty body gets filled with something else. So sometimes on these journeys, I'm clearing demons, I'm clearing entities, and then I can't make them take up space within their body. They have to choose to be brave, to be courageous, to take up space, to have a voice, or that empty part of their body is just going to be taken up by something else. So sometimes that occurs, and it's wild, Trey.
Really? Like
It
this is the
seems to
first I'm
happen.
hearing of this. Like those some of those demons can be different entities or beings that are
Oh yeah,
taking over the body because you're disassociating the
yeah.
body.
It's a free run sign. If you're not in your
Wow.
body, something else is going to get in there. And
Wow.
so absolutely, absolutely. I've clear, especially it's very curious too. Most of my clients, they're well, that's not actually true. So a gentleman who had sexual abuse growing up and disassociated. The whole left side, feminine side of his body was filled with nasty demons. And the experience of being him prior to me supporting him and releasing that was a sex addict. He just wanted to use women and get what he could. And he knew he didn't want to do that, but he couldn't not do that. So this was the addiction. And all the different therapies he's ever done has never resolved this until we went in there and I supported. And this is how PSI works. We don't try to figure it out or make anything happen. We trust body. And as we trusted body and we felt through the icky, yucky, disgusting energy of what it was like to be all that when he was a kid, we had to feel through that. He never felt through that as a kid. It was too much, obviously. So he left, he disassociated. So now as an adult, we felt through it in real time. We honored the body by feeling it in real time. And after we felt through all the horrific stuff, then his courage was arising. Then his confidence was arising. Then his self-worth was arising. No one and no thing is going to tell me who I am or my worth. And as that energy was arising in him, that supported me. And together, out the demon went. And then he filled his left side out. I'm thinking of another client who I just worked with, and it was her right hip, her masculine hip. It's just so sad how much this happens in life, or maybe it's just the people that come to me because it's safe for me to be with them. But she was molested by the neighbor growing up. And as that happened, she froze. And what was fascinating, this is just fascinating to me how this all works. And I'm still learning and I'm still a student. But as she froze, she left her body disassociated. A demon came in to protect her, but also take over her life. So in that right hip was the energy that elbowed that guy and got her out of there and saved her life from the rape. But it also was running the show in this hypervigilant, got to beat the man, got to be competitive, got to be the winner, got to be the CEO, got it like this. So it was running her. She didn't know this. She just knew that she had to be better than any man she was ever around.
Hmm.
And when we went into her journey and we went all the way back to being molested, we felt through the terror. How could you? You're supposed to be my protector. Where is your nobility? Like it was just hopeless devastation of this was supposed to be safe and you're now my predator. She could never feel that because in the moment she was panicked, she left and the demon came in. And so we felt through that and through compassion and honor of her body. And that little girl that was molested, her confidence rose. And then we went over to the right hip where the demon was in her right hip. And it was like, oh no, you need me. I'm going to be in charge. But it was a shadow masculine, not a noble masculine, but it took over. And it was like, I don't need you anymore. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for giving me all the success I've had in life, but I'm ready to evolve. I'm ready to ascend. I'm ready for my own internal noble soul and masculine energy to be on board. And then it left and she filled out her entire body. So this is what I get to do. It's fascinating. It's amazing. And it's being there with people to feel the unfeelable that they never could feel when they were younger. And when that integration happens and the feeling happens, they come back online as their true power because nothing's ever against us. These things, although quite unfortunate that happen, they happen to grow us and evolve us. We're not victims. And if we can do the inner work and literally feel our way through home, we can embody all of our power. And then that looks like the first guy, he's now met Brianna. She's amazing, healthiest relationship of his life. She is actually now having the courage to leave the paycheck job and go out on her own and do what she really wants to do as a consultant. So those
Ah,
are the results in life that are happening when the inner work gets done.
I love that freedom, right?
Totally.
So having all these experiences with clients and your own journey, what has that, how has that transformed your idea of what this reality is, right? Like, how have these experiences with clients and your own battling of demons and accepting your demon? Well, I guess you're not battling them, you're kind of letting them in and surrendering to that and allowing love to come through to clear that out. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, how has that transformed your belief system about what this reality is?
That's what I meant by when I think I know everything. Now I'm more of a student than ever because it's like, holy crappers. Like on my last journey with my facilitator, it was almost like a chakra thing that was happening. In one of my throat chakras, I think it was like self-hatred. And in my heart, hopelessness. In my gut, powerlessness, in my vagina, like feeling used. It was like all these different emotions that I didn't want to feel. And as I felt through each of them, it's like a new being, a multidimensional being trait came online. Like a goddess would come online, and then a dragon would come online, and then an old crone, like indigenous crone with crazy gray hair, came online. All these like energies or awarenesses or identities or beings or multidimensional aspects of myself. I don't even know what they are, but they just came on. And I'm feeling confident for no reason, unattached to the results, attracting clients left, right, and center, plenty of money, creating a docuseries, like all these things that I'm doing. I'm not pushing to make them happen. It's almost, Trey, like they're already done, and I'm just showing up to receive them and do the work and be of contribution. I've
Hmm.
never had this experience before. I've always worked really, really hard. My part of my worth was based on how hard I worked. I had a good story that I probably worked harder than you. Like I was quite the drama queen. Now it's easier, almost effortless to manifest things. I do the effort. I show up and I work every day the same, but there's a flow to it, an ease to it. There's no fear to it. There's no attachment. If it doesn't go this way, it's going to go someplace else. Like there's just no, not no, I'm still human, but very, very little chatter, very, very little concern for the outcome, deep gratitude for the flow and abundance coming, and a reverence and a humility. Like, holy shit, I did a lot of work to get here. Man, oh
Hmm.
man, I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
I love that. And I think you're the right person to have this conversation with because I have had these types of questions in my brain for a really long time, especially in on my spiritual path. But with sexual energy and intimacy, that energy that's associated with the I guess the lower chakras, right? I think most men, I mean, I have lived in that first chakra my entire life, right?
Mm,
How do we live? It is a two-part question. Like, how do we live more in the heart? Like, how do we come up to the heart more? And
mm,
then how do we use that energy, whether it be sexual or intimate or however you want to word that, to cultivate more how do I even put this? How do I use that energy to create my reality the way that I desire?
Thank you. Again, I'm a student learning. There's a lot of masters that I interview on my podcast that can teach us even more. And I'll just state some of them as well. John Wineland, Rahi Chun, even Kim Anami's courses around being a well fucked woman, and the sacredness of that sexual energy. So what I would say, obviously, I'm a woman, not a man, but the idea of sexual energy not just being in our genitals, but in our first chakra, second chakra, but bring like choosing to breathe, see, and run the energy up our channels. So up through our sacred sexual energy, our second chakra. It's not just for sex, it's for creation, it's for manifestation. So if we just stay down more in our root, we can be grounded. It can be erotic and hot, etc., but it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to be done. Orgasm and you're done. But if you can be in self-pleasuring or with your partner and bring it up into this creative center, into your power center, your solar plexus, through your open heart, using your voice, let it awaken, not just the prefrontal cortex with your incredible creative thoughts and nonlinear realities, all this kind of stuff, but all the way into the center of your head, into your pineal, which is like a light and it's just going to turn on and connect with all of non-local intelligence. That doesn't happen unless the heart is open. So that goes all the way back to why we need to integrate our wounds, because if we're just having sex with a closed heart, we're never going to be able to have this, right? So
Hmm.
we need to be able to bring all this energy up and through these open channels so we can awaken basically our divine mind. And that literally is shooting out to the universe. Our heart, I think you probably know this, but maybe you've interviewed somebody from Heart Math. I had the blessing of speaking at a heart math
It's all
conference,
good.
leading a guided meditation. It was phenomenal. And talking to all the scientists there of what it is that I'm intuitively doing, they could explain to me scientifically. But the heart has a field 5,000 times more powerful than the brain, the mind. And here we are spending so much energy with mindset and positive affirmations, which are great, but they're nowhere near 5,000 times less powerful than if we just open our damn heart Splay it wide open and feel. Now that's brave. This is strong. We can push, right?
Hmm.
But bravery means I'm out of control. I'm vulnerable. I've got my own back. But the front of me, it's soft. I have no idea what's going to happen next. I can't control anyone or anything. That's bravery. But if we can be that and exude that, we can sense well before we see. We can sense well before we can figure it out. We can sense way before we understand. And when you can then bring that energy more, at least for me, down more into my hips, my sacred yoni, men would be into your balls. When you can bring that heart energy down, it's almost like, as opposed to close the heart, contract, fear, figure it out. How do I be safe? How do I manipulate the situation so that they like me? How do I take, that's the closed heart and the contracted mind. So I love living this way with this sexual energy coming through me. I don't, on a good day, I don't wait for sex to have sex. I'm penetrating life with who I am. I'm letting life penetrate me. I'm just like, let's make love, universe. Like, what do you got? Like, bring it. And it's a very confident, sexy, alluring, curious way to live, where you see sexual energy not just as genital copulation, but as creation itself,
Mm,
turn on itself, aliveness itself.
I love that. I totally just forgot what question I was going to ask you next because I just totally got so in flow with what you're saying. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Not waiting to have sex with the universe, I think is so
Right.
important. Like going
Yeah.
out
One of my
and
Allana Pratt method processes is called making love with the universe for this very reason. Also, because a lot of people have been hurt, cheated on, rejected. Hey, should we try this? No, that's weird, right? So we have a lot of shame and a lot of pain. And so that shuts down our sexuality, and we're unwilling to just open because we hurt. And so, again, back to the beginning, we've got to integrate these wounds, which is why I have a beautiful business so I can help people integrate all of this. But once it's integrated, it's still, once you've been hurt, a big step to then go, okay, let's have sex. But in the meantime, you can make love with trees, with the breeze. You can practice being open and surrendered and brave every single day, just with a flower,
Mhm.
soften, soften and open,
I love that. Yeah.
receive. Yeah.
Because a lot of us have been indoctrinated by our religions to close those parts off of ourselves, especially
True.
like the sexual parts of ourselves, because it's bad, it's sinful. So people,
Yeah.
that is the part of the self that we close off, and we forget about it, or we don't nurture that, and we don't love that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what's the commonality between your clients, like especially for men, um, that like is the number one reason why their hearts are closed? Is it because they were broken up with in high school or were cheated on? Like what is that wound that is closing their
Mm.
hearts off?
I have so many amazing male clients. Sometimes their mom died and they were Irish, and their dad and brother just don't talk. I mean, she died and they never talked about it again. Can you imagine? Others, African American. Um, to grow up African American with all that's happened in this country, I can't even imagine. You walk in a room and people already have an opinion of you, right? Gay, coming out with your family, and now you're disowned and they haven't talked to you again. Um, we talked about the one who had the sexual abuse growing up. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of different men. Some were they felt stupid growing up, so they overcompensated for their whole life, and now they have all this money and all these cars and all these things, and inside they're still insecure as fuck, and flirting a little inappropriately with others, even though they're married, because they're still so insecure. So it comes in many, many flavors. Even my latest client, a woman, she's 78, and she's been following me apparently for years, and she grew up very, very Catholic and still has shame around her body and nervousness about opening up. But she's like, Allana, now or never. I know there's more love in my life. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. So she starts on Tuesday. So you never know.
So let me ask
We
you
all
this
have the same
question.
heart.
Yeah,
Mm,
this is a tough question, right? Just going and taking some philosophy classes about the hedonistic lifestyle. Like, what's
mm,
the difference between fully going in towards our sexual energy and just living the life of pleasure, like superficial
mm,
pleasure,
mm,
and being fully embodied? Like, what's the difference?
Such a great question. I don't want to come across as a judgmental bitch. Um, we can use our sexuality as a manipulation from emptiness to get approval, to get attention, to get touch, to get to take, and be empty, and then have the experience of fullness. And then it leaves and we need it again in fullness. And it's empty again. We need it again. I've had moments like that where if he wanted to have sex with me, then there was a part of me that was relieved because now I was chosen. I was still seeking my worth, my wholeness on the outside. I know those moments. So I think that's a step in evolution from absolute shame, doing nothing, to like, oh my God, I'm alive. This is amazing. But the source of it is where we want to look. Are you still empty or are you full? Are you seeking from the outside in or are you giving from wholeness from the inside out? Where I am now, I, sexuality is the most sacred. Sex is church. It's my form of church. It's my form of oneness with the universe. It's my form of communion. I still, I don't know, I'm telling all this trade. But anyways, probably old enough to be your mother, but anyways, doesn't matter. I still haven't had a cervical orgasm in my life. I choose to because my understanding of the nervous system is when there's different nerve channels when we have different forms of orgasm, and clitoral being just very like up and down, we're done. Vaginal being, oh, you could have like 10, 20 of these internal, but cervical goes straight up right into that pineal that I spoke of before. Oneness with all, oneness with all. I want one of those regularly, actually. I would like that. Because I choose to have my body be embodied with the divine. I choose to be ascended, but embodied in my ascension. I want to know what it's like to have the divine in, as and through me, as my very life, not just in a sexual way, but in a creative way, in a healing way, in a caring way, in an interview way, all the ways. Um, so I think that's where we can get to, where intimacy and masculine feminine polarity can be seen as a spiritual practice for the evolution of our soul. That's where I choose to live. Bless the people that swing and do all the things and all of that. I've been on various podcasts and invited on various cruises, and I'm like, thanks, but no thanks is not my jam. And power to their freedom.
Sure.
It's just not my expression this round on the planet.
Yeah. I'm just, I want one of those cervical orgasms. It sounds like
But you'd need a cervix for that, but that's okay.
it sounds amazing. I know people are like, what is that? I want one of those. But to your point, right? Experiencing that bliss, that connection with the oneness. There's so many different ways to do that, so many different modalities and methods. Like some people will say even like you have to be ascetic, right? Like you have to, you know, semen retention, right? Like for 100 days and then use that energy to connect with the pineal and then you'll do this. And then some people will say,
Mhm.
oh, you have to go the way of the tantra, right? Like and really
Mhm.
embodying and using that sexual energy to
Yep.
create through some type of meditation and or ritual with someone, right? So there's
Yep.
like
Yep.
there's both ends of the
Breath.
spectrum here. I think
Hmm.
it's more or less the middle way, right? Like how do we like take and live by the best of both worlds?
Mm. Well, I think breath, body movement is beautiful. I don't think we need to go 100 days, but again, I'm not a man. But there is a lot of all the way back to the Tao says at least to wait a month. And when we go into science, a man is depleted by frequent ejaculation. A woman is enlivened by frequent orgasm. Our bodies are different, right? So to understand how your body's wired and what works best for you to feel most enlivened, what a wonderful exploration, what a wonderful pastime, what a wonderful hobby. And then how it ripples into our level of presence with others, our level of compassion with self, our level of connection with the divine, our ability to be patient and trust. Even this is for me, right? And to stay open in allowance and let go of resistance. To me, all the practices in our body of our sexual energy support healing, support grounded embodiment, support the ability to keep our heart open in the face of anything, and to love ourselves as
Wow,
we are. Yeah.
I love all of that. I'm very curious now thinking about our conversation about you said past lives trauma, right?
Mm,
Like
mm.
what have you done past life work for yourself? And then like have you like what past life has kind of influenced your development to where you're at today?
Yeah. I never sought past life work. I've never gone to a past life session. I want to be in the present. I don't really like, why even care? It's only happened in my own PSI, psychedelic somatic integration work, and my clients. I don't think there's ever been a session that I've had with a client where a past life didn't come through.
Mm,
And this is the fascinating thing. It's not about figuring it out. It's not about analyzing it. It's about where in the body did you get your head cut off? Did you get burned someplace? Did something horrific happen and your body was like, ah, peace out? And it never got to integrate. How dare you? That sucked. That was mean. That was horrible. Like, it never got to integrate it. And it's still held energetically in the body. As I do these sessions and I facilitate them, I'm not in charge. The divine uses me for the clients. It can move my hands. I can start to shake different hands. I can be aware of things. I sometimes yawn, or I'm just, and I'm tracking what my body tracks their body now. I'm like, ooh, nauseous. What they're like, yeah. And I'm like, got to tell me these things. We're going to track this together, because nauseousness is good because it means we're back in the body. It means level 3, we're now going to stomach digest what you could never digest when it happened. And
mm,
I'm assuming we're in this life as we're doing that. But all of a sudden they'll say, I've never been raped in this life. I'm full on going through this right now. Oh, something I think I just got my head chopped off. Like, these crazy things are happening that we'd never know. And sometimes the images come as well. To me, the whole point of it is to integrate what we couldn't feel before. So our autonomic nervous system isn't hypervigilantly in level 4, and we don't keep disassociating in our real life, in this life. And we can come back to zero and be present and live our best life and knock it out of the park. To me, that's the purpose of going through these past lives. I remember very, very vividly in one of my journeys. I'm clearly a Caucasian woman. I was Black. I was in a ditch. I was on this side, and they were laughing as they were burying me alive. And my body was starting to suffocate. And I was like, how could they do it? It was a level of, they had joy in my pain and death. I couldn't process it in that life. And this life, I've practiced being brave enough to process that level of atrocity and not disassociate. And in my experience, in my session, I took the last breath and everything got dark and I heard them laughing. And then the funniest thing happened. I was like, oh, I just want to kill myself. This is like, kill me now. And then all of a sudden, my little pinky finger was like, that's okay. We're going to live again. And it started to lift up in the air. I wasn't doing this. It was lifting up in the air. And then it lifted my whole body to sit up, because when you do this, you lie down and you have a mask. And I was sitting up and my arm was up like this. I'm like, and I was like the Statue of Liberty. And my body was like, we live again. We live forever. And I'm like, what the hell is happening, body? And I felt free. So, what is the point of going through that? To forgive the unforgivable in this life, to stay present when I hear the news of what's going on this planet, to stay present so I can do something about it. So that the ability to be through that lets me sit with a client who's had something atrocious happen and not go, well, we'll just like work on that and be fine. I'm like, oh, fuck, tell me more. I'm
mm.
right here. It gives me the ability to be with really difficult things and make a contribution to the planet. So to me, that's the point of any past life integration, is so we can be more now.
Sure. I love that. Mm, so powerful. And thank you for sharing that experience, because I feel like past life regressions, there are some value there. Dolores Cannon's work has been monumental for me anyway, and helping me deal with some of my traumas now, and just kind of, having conversations with those type of facilitators.
Mm,
Uh, but when you get to someone, a client, right, and you've healed a lot of their traumas and they're
mm,
totally embodied, how do you work with them now to become conscious creators in this reality? To not manipulate is maybe might be the wrong word, but kind of arrange the energies in this reality to create their desires or the highest possible outcome for themselves.
yeah. So I work with people for a year. And sometimes they renew for 5 or 10 years, but we're in this for a year and we have an intention at the beginning. We don't know how we're going to get there. That's up to the journey in the universe. But when we start to do these PSI integrations, when we come together every week on the inner circle call, when I do the follow-up integration private sessions, every single time I'm able to go, okay, so you have this idea, you have this desire, but then there's this thing in the way. Let's feel that. And I'm able to help them in the real moment integrate whatever is in the way. And when I say integrate, it's not about getting the fear to go away, the pain to go away, the shame to go away. It's about alchemy. It's about, because it's a part of you. We can't get rid of you. We want to like alchemy, turn that pain into power, that shame into unapologetic expression, that betrayal into forgiveness and curiosity of what else is possible. Like we're turning it into the embodiment of a capacity that is then fuel to not only take action, that embodiment is a vibration. You're just going to sit on your ass at a coffee shop and attract something that you couldn't attract before because your frequency and resonance and vibration has changed. And that energy is no longer in the way of you also being at cause, taking action, showing up, doing things. But I would say you're more in the flow rather than trying to get over this speed bump of unintegrated energy, which is not only pushing away what you want, it's making it harder to have what you choose. And so it might look like people go to a speed dating event, but they could have gone to the very same speed dating event with all of that unintegrated trauma, attracted the sociopath, or not even shown up, like got a flat tire and screwed up their whole thing. So like the actions are the same, but who you're being and what you're attracting is completely different. Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So they go to the
100%.
speed dating event and they meet somebody fucking amazing. But it's not the speed dating event. It's who they're being at the speed dating event. In my, if you go to my website, allanapratt.com, you'll see at the very beginning, become the one, define the one, which awakens the one.
Oh,
That's the order. Because one of my books is finding the one is bullshit, becoming the one is brilliant and beautiful. Because I had it all backwards. I had it all backwards. I thought when I find the one, then I'll be enough. When I lose 10 pounds, when I make more money, like, outside in, doesn't work like that.
yeah.
But when you
Be-
become the one and you still show up and do life, it's already done. It's already in your field. It's already in your reality. It's already in your vortex. You just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other until it arises of its own accord.
is that your process, right? Become that what in which you seek, or not? I guess, yeah, right. Like that makes sense. Become the one that you seek, right? So if I feel like it's all archetypes anyway. Like going to Jung's work. Like if you want to become the great salesman, if you want to become the great boss, the great husband, the great wife, like you have to live and walk it and breathe it and taste it, and then your reality kind of shifts towards that. Like if you want to be the
Yeah.
best entrepreneur that you can possibly be, like you have to. It's not just envision it and then feel it, but like you have to become that and be as that in this reality in order for it to
Yeah.
change, which can be tough because you start walking that walk and people start talking shit. And then it's like, you can't do that, man. What are you talking about? Like you're totally outside of your mind right now. But
Right.
it's like staying at 12 and ignoring that. And then if you can do
Mm,
that for a longer, if you can hold that and you can continue to walk that path, then you start rearranging your reality, if that makes sense.
mm. Everything you said, I totally agree with, except one little piece. I don't ignore because everything on the path is for you. Everything. So when they come up to you and they're like, man, you can't do that, that's actually for you, not to ignore or resist or push away, but to lean into and integrate. What does that bring up in you when they say you can't do that? Is there insecurity? We're going to fucking integrate that. Doubt, integrate that. Fear, integrate that. So everything is not meant to be ignored because that contracts us and puts us into our head. It's actually to expand and to let it flush up everything in the way so that you are that. Yeah, thank you. You don't think I can? That's okay. I bless you. No resistance. Watch me, right? It's all fine. And also no attachment if you don't. Maybe you're right. Maybe I can't. Maybe this actually isn't correct. So you just don't resist anything. Everything is for you. Like literally yesterday, Trey, I broke up with the love of my life.
Yesterday.
We're filming this interview right on the cusp of I thought he was the one forever. He was the one for everything that was meant to arise and integrate within me and everything that was meant to arise and integrate with him. And so I've done 12-year custody battle with my son. I've done criminal assault, went to court till he pleaded guilty. And now I'm doing conscious uncoupling. I've never done that before. I've never done that. And it's almost like we're better friends today than we were the last 9 months. And I'm not moving out. He's supporting me in buying my own house. Uh, I adore him. He adores me. This just isn't a path for deep, intimate lovership that I choose, but we have such affinity for one another and care. So everything is for you, even when it doesn't turn out the way you think. And if I can stay unattached to, and this is like my practice, and I never get there. It's a practice, not a destination. I surrender to divine will. I show up and I have my intention, I have my preferences, I do my thing, I take action. But at the end of the day, I always let go and surrender to divine will. This or better, this or better. Not as lip service for realsies. Like, oh, we're not going to be together anymore. Like, even that level of ouch, got it. Don't know where I'm going to move. Got it. Don't know all the things. This too is for me. This too
Mm,
is for me. And to have that level of surrender and trust in the divine, that's the practice. And if there's anything in the way, fear, contraction, settle, coerce, manipulate, all that, no, that's not going to be for him or for me. So it's like integrate all the things, the disappointment,
mm.
feel it,
Wow,
surrender,
that's
yeah, feel it.
fresh, right? Wow.
Yeah, it's very fresh.
Ooh, is it because you're expanding, right? Like as you expand on your journey, like it just
Yeah,
the universe is making, I guess, I don't know, room for you to grow. And then some people will either expand with you or they won't. Like I've heard
totally.
that, you know, like
Mhm.
it
I
can be
say
tough.
ascend, but expand, ascend, same, probably same. So that's what I mean when the clients don't renew. I'm ascending. And that's going to take the next level of bravery, authenticity, vulnerability, ownership of your wounds, cleaning up your messes, ability to apologize, ability to own your shit, all the things. That's where we're going. And as we go there, we effort less and receive more. Love, money, miracles, all the things. That's where I'm going. You want to come? Great. You don't? Fine. Before I used to not ascend and take everybody with me and stay in the relationship and work and try. And it's exhausting, but it's also a betrayal of my own ascension. But I was too scared. I thought I would be all alone. And some people did leave. And this is completing. But all that's I've been experiencing is the more I ascend, the more my people, my colleagues, my clients, my lovers are right there. And I need to have blind faith and fly.
I love that. I love that. How can people connect with you?
My website is my name, allanapratt.com. So many resources there. My podcast, Intimate Conversations, my YouTube channel, over 5.5 million views. Yeah, lots of resources for people, lots of ways I can love them.
Yes. So we've talked about the heart. And is there any message that is on your heart right now that you want to share, that you're feeling called to share with the audience that may need to hear this?
Thank you. What I'm present to right now, first, Trey, is the depth of your listening is the degree to which I can share. So it's like a figure eight. If you're a very small, not so deep person, I literally can't share as much because it's not safe. You won't receive it, nor will your audience take it in. So thank you for the depth of your listening, the non-judgment of your listening, the authentic curiosity, because I can share all of me. Second, this is how I am. If you get on my newsletter list and you see my videos every single week, like this is my jam. I do vulnerability, I do transparency. My purpose, my mission, if anything, is to make it safe for us all to be human and not judge, to share exactly what's happening in the moment, not wait till we've integrated it and we have all the pretty bow on top of it. And here's the lesson. Here's your 3 points to whatever. Like, fuck that. No, in the moment, embodiment of all the emotions as equally valid. Your pain is equally as beautiful as your pleasure. Your uncertainty is just as beautiful as your certainty. So, thank you for the opportunity to give the listeners and the viewers an experience of transparency, vulnerability, non judgment, receptivity. This is intimacy to me. Intimacy includes genital copulation, but intimacy to me is about, can we just put our walls down, open our heart, and be real um, with another human and be. So thank you for the ability to be with you.
I love it. I love it. You can be with me anytime you want. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, this has been great. I love being authentic and just being vulnerable and allowing it just to reveal itself, because I
mm.
feel like there's so many masks out there, especially
Yes,
filters that we
totally.
try to portray to other people and for approval. And when we can really just kind of surrender to who we are as beings and be, like you just said, I feel like
Mm,
that's the magic. That's where we make love to the universe. So
mm,
thank you again. This has been a
mm.
fantastic, beautiful conversation. I can't thank you enough.
Likewise, likewise. Blessings to you and all of your community.